In that meeting, they told them two chilling things. They told them, number one, case in the federal level named 3 targets. The feds named 3 targets. Well, January 10th, 2013, Mr. and Mrs. J watched their son leave, Kendrick Johnson, leave for school. That school is Lowndes County High School. He left wearing a book bag, and the next time they saw him the next day, well, not necessarily saw him the next day, but he was returned in a body bag. Kendrick Johnson, the 17-year-old child that was found dead, rolled up in the middle of a wrestling mat. Basically they closed the case extremely early. The sheriff stated that Kendrick died of an accident before the autopsy report was complete. The autopsy report came out and said he died of positional asphyxiation. The theory that they gave this family was that Kendrick climbed up on the bleachers, jimmied down into the core of a wrestling mat where the diameter is extremely smaller than the width of his shoulders. You can't fit a square peg in a round hole. But they told his family that he jimmied down and shimmied down in the core of this mat to retrieve a shoe, got stuck, and died. This case was closed at the state level. A 17-year-old child, and when their family exhumed his remains, didn't have one single organ in his body. Didn't have one single organ.
And what was the excuse that they? What was the excuse? I can't remember what the excuse was that they gave for that.
Refresh my memory, Mrs. J. I don't think we ever got one. Did you?
By his organs?
Yes, ma'am.
No, we've never really got an excuse.
And not just every single organ, literally flesh and bone. He was missing his entire tongue and his entire windpipe. No organ, no windpipe, no organs, no windpipe, no tongue, literally flesh and bone. Cavities stuffed with newspapers and magazine articles. The missing organs, along with the clothes that Kendrick Johnson left the last time his mother saw him alive, his clothes have never been found as well. All 10 of Kendrick's nails, and he wore them kind of long, were all cut down to the point of bruising. Something that's very important, too, about the positional asphyxiation. The weight of Kendrick's lungs in the first autopsy, it has been determined that if he would have died by positional asphyxiations, the lungs would have been heavier. They would have filled up with fluid. That didn't exist. The weight didn't exist there. I mean, honestly, I think a part of the reason that Kendrick's organs are missing is because those organs can determine whether he's suffocated, right? You know, told the number one that, first of all, let me make sure it's clear. The federal government, when they closed this case, they never stamped Kendrick's death accidental. That's a big farce for some folks that are out there. They told this family that the shoe that was up under Kendrick Johnson, if anybody, and I got to be graphic, Mrs. J, if anybody has seen, you know, the images of Kendrick, the images that Mrs. Johnson had to see on the internet for the first time that were leaked by people, I might add. But Kendrick was upside down in the core of this mat, and I got to be graphic again, Mrs. J. He bled out through various areas of his head. And in bleeding out, there was a shoe directly up under Kendrick, that shoe that they claim he was trying to retrieve. The shoe was sitting on top of a pool of blood. But the irony is there's not a speckle, not a drop of blood on the top of the shoe. Well, they told Mr. and Mrs. Johnson in that closing meeting that they know the shoe was placed there. They also said this, which is chilling. At that point in time, there had only been 2 autopsies. Since we're here now, there are 3 autopsies. This mother and father exhumed their child for a second time. 3 autopsies. Autopsy 2 and 3 are identical, which conflict the first. The first autopsy, positional asphyxiation. Remember, at that point in time, at the closing of the investigation, it was only 2. They told this mother and father they know the second autopsy is the most accurate. But there's not enough evidence to lead to a civil rights violation, a civil rights violation, meaning that Kendrick would have had to be proven that he was murdered with racial biasness. We know Attorney General Eric Holder went on national television and said the bar is set too high when it comes to some of these federal charges.
And is there a place that people can donate?
I have a GoFundMe, and it's Justice for KJ.